Hey everyone, it's Dr. Detroit here, the doctor is in, and welcome back to the... Wow, that guy had a deep engine. And welcome back to my repair station at the historic Route 66 Auto Repair Station. Because you know what that means, everybody? It means it's time for a new season of one-day restorations. That's right, we are back again to make some new cars, restore some new ones, and some old ones, put them back on the road. But the other thing, too, is that we'll also be doing homes and houses as well. In fact, you guys never really got to see the outside of this, but look at this. It's a gas station, which is really cool. Also has this beautiful area that also has a restroom inside for customers only. You can get ice and all sorts of things. And you can see we have some new posters up here, too. Most of this looks like it's a lot of Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet stuff because we have the American Muscle Restoration and Service Station. And so this is going to be a lot of fun because we'll be doing some more cars like this guy, and we also have some cars coming up like this bad boy, which is a beautiful Ford F-150, which we'll be working on at some point. Hey, take a look at that. The license plate itself is the F1 circuit, Austria. But no, today I figured to start Season 2 of One Day Restorations, as you can hear the cars racing by, I figured we'd do something kind of fun. Let's go in here. Take a look at this bad boy. So as you can see, everybody, this is the car that we are going to be working with today. Gee, I wonder what this car is. Well, many of you who grew up with the movie Cars should know this car right off the bat, especially with that kind of branding right there. Yes, everybody, this is a 1952 Hudson Hornet. So we essentially have Doc Hudson right here in our garage, which is so cool. And this car looks like it's in relatively great condition, but obviously I got it from an auction area, and the car actually looks like it's pretty neat. Look at how big that trunk is. It's big enough to fit a body in it. The interior also looks cool too, but we won't be able to get to that until we get it off the lift. But this is the big bone of contention right here, which is the fact that this needs an inline 6. So we are going to rebuild that engine, and we're going to give it everything else that it needs to become a car again. So that's what we're going to be doing for today. So the first thing we're going to do is go get this car washed, and then get it detailed, and then we're going to see if we need to replace any of the body panels. Alright, let's get this car washed now. Ooh, look at that! That's pretty cool. Do you see all that? I like the paint scheme. I think we might keep it. Wow, this is the first time I've seen a Hudson Hornet without any damage. And there's the interior. Let's hop in really quick. Ooh, look at the old style. Look at the old style controls here. This is what cars used to be. Just these big old dials, so you could see, like, you know, what you how fast you were going and how much power you had. The wheel, look at that. It's just so huge. Radio, glove compartment, nothing else. And there was no air conditioning in these cars either, which is you know, quite a travesty. But let's go ahead and do a little detailing really quick. Not much needed in there, but this is going to be really good. So it looks like that the engine is the only thing we really got to worry about. Let me see. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like all this car really needs is some suspension work and some other things. It also needs a new fuel tank. Or actually, the fuel tank is fine. It just needs a new fuel pump. Huh. Alright. So this thing needs a bit of TLC to get back on the road. So let's go ahead and take it back inside to our shop, put it on the lift, and get the engine off of it. Okay, so first things first, we gotta detach the drivetrain so we can get to everything. So let's get the drive shafts off. There's a little bit of WD-40 on some of those bolts. It looks like there's going to be a couple of bolts we'll have to use some of this on. There we go. Alright, that drive shaft's going to need to be fixed. The gearbox is going to need to be fixed as well. Okay, there we go. Now, let's see, the clutch release plate is, or actually the bearing's fine. The plate, let's see what that looks like. It almost looks fairly new, but let's get these guys. There we go. Yeah, ooh. Okay, the clutch plate. Yeah, the clutch is gone, and so is the flywheel. Oof. Okay. Alright, now let's bring this car down. Oh, wait a minute. We gotta do something really quick, though. We gotta bring the oil drain over, just in case that there is, you know, still oil. A little bit. But still, we don't want to get it on our brand new floor. So let's get that out of the way. Now we can actually take this engine out. But you know what? I just had an interesting thought, though. I think I have an inline 6 that we can work with, and possibly use that in the car. Let me go ahead and move this over so we can take out the Hudson Hornet engine. There we go. Okay, so now the engine is now out of the car. Just gonna take this engine crane away. Thank you very much. There we go. Now, let's come over here, because I just had a weird thought. So as you can see, this is our engine room. This is where we take care of the engine and also fix up the parts and pieces. But take a look at this. New for this season, we have a storage room. Yes, we have a storage room that's got many parts and pieces, and it even has a couple of engines in here too. So I'm going to whittle this down a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and go to the engines. Let's see, arrival, condition. Alright, so we want the ones that are the best condition up at the top. Okay, so, as you can see, we can actually separate it through a lot of different parts and pieces and things like that, which is pretty cool. This is where we have the engines, and as you can see, there's actually two inline 6 overhead valves, which I think is actually what we need for the Hudson Hornet. Let's double check before we make any more things. Yep. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to take one of the engines that we have now and use that. So let's go ahead and grab that. And now in the inventory, I'm going to do this. Let me see. Okay, so that's the inventory, and then here's the warehouse for the other stuff that we put in there. Some of this stuff is already on us, so now let's see if we can find that engine again. Just by typing in I6. So now we have everything that we need here in the I6 area. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of this because we're going to need this. We'll definitely need an alternator. We're going to need the camshaft caps, I believe. Ignition wire. And we're going to get that. We're going to get that. I think that's all we need. Now, is it going into the inventory? Oh, it's going to the warehouse. Whoops. Alright. Bring back these pieces so that we have them ready to go. There we go. That other engine is in the warehouse now. Although, wait. Now I'm confused. I don't even know which one of these is the one that we took out, but let's go ahead and grab this one. Now we'll put it back over here onto the engine stand. Yeah, this is an engine that is going to need a lot of TLC. This is going to need a lot of help. And this is not the one that we took out of the Hudson Hornet, but this one is one that we're going to resurrect and restore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed a few things up, and I'm going to tear down the engine until we get down to the last bit of pieces, and see if we can't rejuvenate this entire engine. Okay, so that took a very long time to dismantle the engine, and I forgot how many bits and bobs go into some of these engines. So, I noticed that a lot of the pieces might not be usable again, but I'm going to see if I can restore some of these. In other words, let's see if we can reuse a lot of these other pieces and things like that. I know that a lot of them I'm going to have to rebuy and stuff like that, but the good news is that the expenses are going to be a lot lower because of the fact that our Hudson Hornet over there doesn't need any body panels or anything like that. So we can just focus solely on the engine and solely on the suspension. So I'm not going to do another one of those montages like I did just now. So for the magic of editing, I've now fixed the pieces for this engine, and strangely enough, half the pieces I could actually fix, but a lot of them will have to go out and buy. But the good news is, though, is that I did get a couple of the pieces that we need for sure. Like I said, some pieces I was able to put back over here, but one of the things that we're going to put some, we're actually going to put some high performance pieces on this to give the Hudson Hornet kind of a hot rod vibe, and we'll see how much horsepower that we can get out of it, because I believe it only had like 150. I'm hoping that some of these pieces might take it up to like 200 or 300, but let's go ahead and get right back into the swing of it. Alright, so the oil filter, of course. I always keep forgetting the oil filter, so let's go back here and get the oil. Let's get an oil filter really quick. It's this guy. There we go. We'll start putting things back in. We got the crankshaft, which holds all of our pistons and con rods. You can see I got a bunch of these here, but only a handful of good things. I always forget to get the rings, so let's go ahead and get those really quick. I'm just going to go ahead and buy up a bunch, so that way I don't have to worry about it anymore. Alright, the camshaft, we already have a racing one we're going to put in there. Alright, now we can go ahead and start piecing all the pistons in here, and we have the rod caps too. We also need to put on crankshaft bearing caps, because these are actually what kind of keeps the crankshaft in line. Because here's the thing: usually I don't get to explain much about these pieces, but the crankshaft is very important. This is what keeps the pistons pumping, and so basically, as the car is running and as the engine is running, these things pump up and down really, really quick. And that's also, too, how we get the power to the rest of the engine. it's a really, really cool thing that happens. And with this being a V6, or an inline 6, we have to put in 6 pistons. Now, let me just explain why or what the deal is with inline. As some of you may know, the pistons usually go in a V shape. That's why you always hear like V6, V4, V8, V10, V12. But there's also inline 3, inline 2, and inline 6. That means that they are in line, as you can see here. So when we actually go to turn the engine back up again, you'll see what I mean when we go to put the rest on. I think I might end up needing a few more rod caps, but let's see. Let's see any more that we can eke out. Oh, we might actually have enough, because some of them I actually was able to put back together, so I think we're going to be okay. There we go. Yep, there we go. That's all we needed right there. Now we just need the crankshaft bearing cap back on. Here's the newly redesigned oil pan, or newly restored oil pan, I should say. There we go. Alright, that takes care of the bottom half, and why don't we just go ahead and put the flywheel on while we're here. Put the clutch plate in its place. We'll put the clutch pressure plate on. And then we put the clutch release bearing, which we need a new one of. So let's do that really quick and get that taken care of. There we go, clutch release bearing. Alright, so now you can see here, in fact you can actually see if we put the engine head on, get all these screwed in. So you can see right here that this is where the exhaust manifold is, and each of those little holes there are covering up the areas where all the pistons are. So that's what it means to be an inline 6. Now, if it was shaped into a V shape, so like if it didn't look like this straight up, as you can see here, if it didn't look like this straight up, and it was actually going to both sides, almost like a V shape, then you know that that is a V8. But the Hudson Hornet was known for having an inline motor, which those were actually kind of cool. And it also was, I guess you could say it was a little bit easier to maintain. I'm not fully sure. Because, you know what, I just realized something. The valve push rods, we're going to need a ton of these. So we're going to need those push rods big time. We're going to need to get a bunch of these for sure. In fact, do we need those, or what do we need? Yeah, we need those specific ones. And let's see, water pump pulley, we have those. The cam gear, we need. Let's get that sorted really quick. There we go. Now we get the cam gear in place. We also need the timing chain, which we need a good one here. Timing chains are extremely important to use, especially when it comes to engines, because the timing chain actually keeps the engine in tune with everything. Because if you broke a timing belt or a timing chain, then what happens is that the engine is not going to know when to fire and when to, be on point, and that'll really screw you up. All right, let's get the crankshaft pull. I thought I had one. All right, so I need the pulley for a V8, which is strange, but okay. Yep. Then we need the rest of this. So I got a fuel pump right here. This helps send the fuel into the engine. We have an ignition coil, which when hitched up to a battery, this is actually what helps to start the motor. And if you are a Canadian or a Saudi Arabian guy who lives in Canada, you probably know that that the ignition coil is actually a good way to make a taser or a spark gap. If you don't know who I mean, watch this really quick. That's actually from Electroboom. If you've never seen his videos, go check him out because then you'll be smarter, especially around electricity. All right, we got the new ignition point, the ignition distributor rotor. Now I put the cap in. Then of course these ever important clips that always screw you over, especially in like the older games. They will always screw you, which is always a pain in the butt. Now we got to put the spark plugs in. These spark plugs are actually what causes the explosion in the engine, and basically forces the pistons to do their thing. And each one of these is going to give us a little bit extra power. So we only need like 6 of these. So we're going to go ahead and screw those in. Now these ignition wires are extremely important. Let me go ahead and put these on. So these ignition wires, these are the ones that help keep track of everything that's in the engine. And it also makes sure that the spark plugs work in unison with each other. But here's the thing though. If you're going to change spark plugs, make sure you do it one by one by one by one. Meaning, take one of these out, take the spark plug out, put the new one in, put this back in, etc. and so on. Because if you accidentally cross them or something, it can really hurt the engine. Because instead of like hearing this purr, you're going to hear this weird brrrr, and it's not going to be good. So always make sure that you do your spark plugs one by one. Yeah, it does take a little extra time, but believe me, it's going to save you a big headache. That's for sure. All right, now to get the valve push rods in place. There's a lot of them too. Now, I'm a little concerned about the rocker arms. I hope that I have enough for this engine, because this thing's going to need a ton. It's going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oof. I think we have enough of them. I think we do. Let's just keep going and see what we do. Whew! Thank goodness that I had the rocker arms. Now we put the engine head cover on. Get that bolted down. There we go. Now we need the exhaust manifold, which I have a racing one here. There we go. And then we have an intake manifold, which is important for this engine. And now all we need is that we need an arm. We need a arm B that we are looking for. Let's see. We will need this one. I believe it's what we want. That holds the alternator, which charges the battery. There we go. And now we need a serpentine belt, which I don't have. So we need belt I6. So we need serpentine belt A, I believe? I think that's what we want, right? Right. Oh, nope, it's B. It's this one. Always have a hard time with these belts, and I should probably keep some more on hand. And one of the last things to put on here is the carburetor. And the air filter base, which we did not get to fix, so now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back here and get a air filter base for the i6. There it is. Now we can put the new air filter on. And then we need a filter cover. All right. Oh. Can you spell? There we go. And there we are. All right, look at this engine. Look at this bad boy. Woo! This is pretty good. Oops, almost forgot about this little guy over here. Arm A. Let's take care of that really quick. Let's see, arm A. Where the hell are you? Right here. God, almost forgot about this little guy. And he's going to have the power steering pump, which thankfully we have that. And this also needs serpentine belt B, of course. There we go. Oh, come on. That's supposed to be it, isn't it? Okay, which one does it need? Serpentine belt B. Oh, I think I see what... Is it this one? Oh my god. Serpentine belt B, So it should be this one. Didn't we get that? Now we did. Jeez. And then we need a radiator fan. So we need a radiator fan for this, so I think we need radiator fan B. There we go. Look at that engine. That looks really, really cool. Alright, so we're going to let that engine sit there for just a little bit, and now let's head back over to the Hudson Hornet, and we are going to get the suspension worked on next. Alright, so I have taken the tires off of our Hudson Hornet, and you can also see too that this one had part of the wheels covered, so in order to take the tire off, they had to really lift this car up and like have this suspension droop down. But anyway, as you can see, our brake area here is looking really, really rough. As well as also the suspension pieces just look absolutely god-awful. Another thing too is that we need to kind of fix up the rims if we can. So I'm going to separate the tires from there. And you can see that the tires are still fairly good, but it's the rim that I'm a little bit more concerned about, because one of these rims is completely janked. This one. Let's go ahead and separate these two. In fact, most likely I think I'm going to have to just get new tires all the way around for this particular car. I think that's what we're going to do, is we're going to get the tires for this. The rims actually look pretty good, or the hubs, or the wheels. But yeah, this thing is what we actually use to uninstall and also reinstall tire wheels like this. Now let's get the other one taken care of. Alright, now let me double check this car and see what kind of tire specification it took. Okay, it needs 180/90R15, so 180/90/15. Okay, let's go ahead and get the tires right now. Where is our tire shop? There it is. And this definitely needs these vintage ones. It's a size 15. Go. Huh. Now what's strange though is that we can only get this like that, but let me double check something really quick. So it's a 180/90R15. Okay. So we can't get it that way, but what about this one? Looks like we're going to have to get it with a slightly bigger tire, I guess. So alright, we'll go ahead and get 4 of these. There we go. It's got some white walls and stuff like that. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and disassemble the suspension deal. And then I'm going to see if I can restore any more of these pieces, and then we'll put it back together. Alright, so we've taken everything out of this car now. So now this is just basically a shell with no suspension. So I'm going to go get the pieces, see if I can resurrect a bunch of them. I'm pretty sure I can resurrect all of them. And then what we're going to do next is that we're going to go back underneath this car. But I want to bring this down really quick, and I want to tell you guys something. So I want you guys to have a look-see at the body of this car, and you can see that this is definitely 50s style. In fact, a 1950s car had these big, bulky chrome bumpers on here. In fact, these cars were made to last for the most part, because they were built extremely, strong for the most part. But if you were in a mild fender bender, you would be okay. And you can also see, too, that one of the big things about the 50s was especially the fact they had this beautiful trim stripe going down the side of the car. And a lot of these cars were also meant to look more aerodynamic. Rather than look like a big box or something, many of the car manufacturers started to make their cars a little bit more aerodynamically sound in the fact that they did this rounded kind of thing rather than square. And these cars were also built for luxury as well. Because even though this is a two-door car, it can actually fit a family of 4, maybe a family of 5, and maybe their pet goldfish. I don't know. Also, if you look closely, I don't know if you can really see it, but it's a little tricky. But this car, I believe, has seatbelts, but I can't quite... No, actually it does not have seatbelts. Seatbelts weren't even a thing until like the 60s. And believe me, it's a good thing that they actually brought seatbelts in, because otherwise you just go flying out through the window like a cartoon character. And it's funny when somebody like Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck do it, but when it's an actual human, that's not really as funny. But anyway, let me go ahead and I'm going to go restore these pieces, and then we're going to come back, reassemble the car, put the engine in, dyno it, and maybe I'll give this a little updated paint scheme, because I think this faded blue is not really jiving with me too much. So, I'll catch you guys in a few seconds. Alright, so I got some of the pieces put back together, or, restored a bit. I'm happy with some of the pieces. Some of them unfortunately couldn't get fixed, so we may have to get a new one, or we could just put the old one back in there, because most of them were still pretty good. So we're going to start up here with the front suspension, because I feel like it's more fun. I'm going to have to get a radiator for sure. So now we're going to get, so now we just put in the front suspension cross member. This is basically what holds the suspension together, but also is where the engine gets mounted. Front sway bar, I always forget to get those, so let's go ahead and grab that really quick. And I think while we're at it, we will also get a radiator C, because I don't believe we have one. I don't think we have one in our possession. Which I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to just go through one day and just buy up a lot of the stuff that we need for future builds. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back into it. A brake servo, fuel filter, and a battery. So we got to make sure we put those things back in. So I'm glad that it actually showed us. The front exhaust system, we also needed some other things here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to get a couple of these, but thankfully I got the catalytic converter, which is very important. That's actually a very old style piece, and this is actually what gets stolen a lot these days. In fact, catalytic converters can go for a good chunk of money, but sell them the right way. Don't go sawing them off everybody's car. Come on, do better than that. All right, let's get the rubber bushings in. These things will be the bane of your existence if you're not careful. Let's get back over here. Oops, not that button, this one. So now we got the inner tie rods going in, and now we need this in there. All right, outer tie rod. This is what helps the car turn. Let's get the upper suspension arm in there. Thank God that I got a bunch of these rubber bushings. And you always want to make sure that that you always have your rubber bushings ready to go. Because believe me, back in the day, when they didn't have these grids or anything like that in this game, it was truly difficult to find out if you had a piece missing or whatever. Let's get the bottom suspension arm in there as well. Okay, next we're going to need the sway bar front end link, which we're going to need another one of those. And, oh yeah, the double shock absorber wishbone. Forgot about that. But also, what front exhaust section do we need? We also need exhaust I6B. Okay, so exhaust I6B. Really? Did we spell it wrong? Let me see. Oh, exhaust. Oh, I see what it is. Exhaust I6. Or, yeah, I6. Inline 6. Okay. We need the front section of this, which is... yeah, that one. There we go. And then we need another front sway bar, or actually another front thing. We need another sway thingy. I forgot the damn name of it. Yeah, it's these guys. We need a couple more of those. There we go. And we need to get the double wishbone shock absorber thing working. So over to my little shock pulley over here, or shock puller. Ooh. So we do have a couple of pieces. But let's see here. Alright, we got the double wishbone shock absorber. We got this. Now we got that. Alright, that'll be put in. Now we can put the front shock absorber into this. Front spring and an absorber cap. There we go. Now we can go ahead and put these into the car. Go. And like I said too, these front shock absorbers, these are extremely important because these are what actually keep the car nice and good down the road. And if these shock absorbers fail, that's when you start to like get this weird like where your car just like falls to the ground almost. It's kind of weird how it is, but it's also very ingenious. Then we need the front wheel hub, which is where the wheel hits. Now we need some brake discs, which luckily I have only one that is like good. Well, we could put this in. I guess we could probably intermix them. I got a bunch of brake pads we can use. Brake caliper, got that. Then we need the wheel hub bearing, which is extremely important. Then the hubcap. And then we'll need to put the tire back on there, but we don't have the tires mounted just yet. So let's come over here and get these on. I have to be careful because I think I'm running out of bushings. And before I begin my next project, or before we begin the next project, which will be in the next episode, I'll have to get a couple more of these, I think. I have to get a couple more of those rubber bushings because, yeah, we're only going to have one more after this. Thankfully, though, we're done with the bushings for the time being. So let's get everything put back in. Okay, and then let's see, we need the outer tie rod right there. Okay, good. So the front suspension has been redone. Now we gotta come back here, and, oops, wait a minute. We need to hook up this. We need to hook up the front shocks right there. Middle muffler. We need a new middle muffler, so let's get that really quick. Ooh, look at that. I'll have to keep an eye out for something with that. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, we get the middle muffler in, and then we're going to get the exhaust pipe C, which we need to get another one of. And there we go. And then the rear muffler, I have a few of these, which is going to be good. The fuel tank, we have a bunch of them that we can use. Now we can go ahead and actually use the rear end. So here we have the rear drive axle. So that's how you can tell if something's rear-wheel drive. In fact, while we're here, I might as well go ahead and tell you guys this. If you ever hear the term rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive, this is the perfect way to know. So if a car is rear-wheel drive, it means that the drive shaft from the front of this, where the engine is, links all the way to the back over to here, which is the rear drive axle, and it drives the rear wheels. Many cars today are rear-wheel drive. If it's a front-wheel drive car, then that means there is literally no drive shaft and the rear wheels are just there for the ride. Instead, the wheels are turned up here via the engine. And then four-wheel drive, the engine and the rear wheel system kick in, and they do their thing. All right? And so, so that's how you can tell when something is rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. In fact, most of your family's cars is more than likely going to be either front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. But I think a lot of people choose to go front-wheel drive, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Now we get the leaf springs in. The leaf spring here, this is very important because the leaf springs are actually what the rear section hangs on. And every car actually has these leaf springs. They are really cool. And like I said, we have the small rubber bushings going in. Getting all my suspension pieces in first. Now we need the leaf spring plate. And then we need the two U-bolts. This holds it in place. And I think I just accidentally put an old one on. So go back. Oh no! It's good. Because I think we actually got a bunch of new ones here. There we go. And the same thing we'll do over here on this side. You know what's going to be interesting is that as we continue with Season 2 of One Day Restorations, I can tell you that we got plenty of new cars and some oddities that are going to be coming into our shop. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Ford is going to have a bigger presence here. No, I'm not going to Ford. I'm not driving Fords or anything like that. But let's just say that they tend to get thrown out and they tend to, I don't know, they tend to break down a lot. So we will more than likely have some more Fords in there, some Chevrolets, and who knows what else is going to come into this garage. Now we need the solid rear drive axle, and I think I only have like a pair of brake shoes here. No, I got a bunch of them. Thank God that okay, that's the big deal right there. So the brake drum is going to need, we're going to need a new brake drum cover. All right. There's the brake drum cylinder, which we're going to need to get a new one of, and a new one of these too. So you might notice that the front is disc brake and the rear end is rear brake. That's the beautiful thing about, these brake drums, is that they actually don't wear out as fast as the fronts do. So pretty soon, your front brakes are going to be needed to be changed. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and start mounting the tires on this. I bought some new ones. You can see here, these are the rims that we took off, and now we can go ahead and put them on. And unlike in our other shop, which is in the other game, we can't actually take these off and then put them on here and then just forget about it. We kind of have to do the little, this little mini game, which I know a lot of people didn't like. So let me mount the tires onto the rims, and then we'll put them on the actual car. Alright, there we go. Alright, now let's go ahead and install the rear wheels first. Ooh, look at that! Oh, look at that. That is looking awesome. There we go. And now we go to the front of this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at this, everybody. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is so cool. Let's bring her down. Now that is what I call stylish. And now we come up here. And now we need, let's see, wait, where is it? Here it is. Here it is. Here's the Hudson Hornet. Now we're going to install our freshly made inline 6 into the engine, or into the car itself. No, not pull it out. Put it back in, you fool. I'm getting so excited because we know that Doc Hudson's about to come to life. There we go. But now we got to get a few more things put in, including the drivetrain and the gearbox. But first, let's take care of some other things here first. We get a brake servo in. We'll have to get some other stuff put in. Then we need that. We need the battery for sure, and we also need the radiator C. And now we need to go underneath the car. But now that we have the stuff situated, we can now go ahead and fill it up with oil. I'm gonna put a bunch of this in. Okay, whoa, 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 okay. Now, if you ever wanted to check and see what the oil level is in your car, every engine has this oil dipstick. And this is how you can tell how much oil is actually in the car. So we pull it out. And you can see here that the oil level is totally fine. So you can see there that there's where it says max. That means that's how much oil this car can say, or actually can take, and it's relatively full. But if you ever see the oil all the way down to almost a minimum, you need to put oil in the engine, because believe me, if you run an engine without oil, 5 miles later, this thing is going to blow up. It's not a pretty picture. Also, we gotta put in some coolant. And of course, this being an old school motor, this means it takes the old school green coolant. So let me go ahead and explain something about coolant here. Many of you probably think, oh, coolant is coolant. Hang on a second. There's two different types of coolant that is out there. In engines that range from 2011 all the way back to the beginning of time, they take the green substance like you see here. Newer engines take an orange substance that is actually called Dexcool. Dexcool is for cars 2012 to today. And it's a totally different substance, and also most engines would take the synthetic oil as well. But this one could take like just the normal stuff. So we put the normal stuff in, and now this thing is almost set to get going, but first we gotta get back underneath this car and get the drive shaft and everything put pitch back up again. So now we go here to this. We're going to put the gearbox in place. This is actually a gearbox that I had on me. I think we need a starter for this right there. Perfect. And then last but not least, we need to connect the drive shaft so the rear wheels can roll. There we go. All right, I think we got this engine working beautifully. And now... Oh, Doc Hudson is looking really good. All right, now this license plate here. You know what? We'll keep the license plate for now, but let's go ahead and take it to the engine dyno, and let's see what we got from this. All right, so let's take a look one more time. Our base horsepower was 145. The engine can't be started. Great. What happened? Why can't we start the motor? What are we missing? We're missing anything at the back? Oh! I know what we needed. Almost forgot. The fuel pump. There we go. Okay, now this car should be able to get started. All right, there we go. I always forget something as to why the car didn't get started. All right, so we're gonna see what happens. Now, the initial power was 145 horsepower. How much do you guys think this car is gonna get? Leave your guess in the description box below, or I mean in the comments below, and let's see what happens. But here we go. Okay, not too bad. 231 horses. That's definitely a lot more than we normally would have. Easy, boys, easy. But that is absolutely fantastic. Alright, off to the paint shop we go. Alright, so now for this car, let's see what we can do with it. Let's see what we can do with it, because to be totally fair, I'm starting to think if we should just keep this, but just give it a different, like even make it a little bit, let's see, matte, no. Chrome, that's not bad. Chameleon's not bad. To be totally fair, I'm kind of starting to dig this paint scheme, but let's go ahead and give it like a nice metallic look. Let's have some fun with this. Ooh, that's cool. Let me see. Was there any livery sets for this car? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. There we go. Yes! Yes! That's what we are looking for. Yes. And we can make this a metallic scheme. We're using this. Look at that. Will you look at that? That is so cool. The fabulous Hudson Hornet. Ah, this is looking cool. Alright, let's go ahead and take this back over and let's put it to the front of the garage. Let's see what it looks like in the sunlight. Ooh, look at that. And to think that we took this from a dusty old thing. In fact, look at this, look at this, look at this. Let's put this next to, let's put my other car right here so you can see how far technology has come. Look at this. Oh, that is just beautiful. Damn, look at that. Alright, that is just cool, isn't it? Alright, now just like what we all do with these cars, it's time for us to take it to a track of some sort. To kind of have some fun with it. So let's see. Where can we take it to? Speed track? No. Let's see. Where should we take it to have some fun? Let's see. Well, you know, we could take it to Martinsville. So you know what? Let's do that. Let's go ahead and take the car to the Martinsville Speedway and just have a little fun with it, shall we? Brake fluid missing. Check. Oh! Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah. How are we going to stop the damn thing? Well, let's get the brake fluids in there. I'll explain more about brake fluid when we get to the next car. Let's make sure this is well topped off. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, now we can take this car out to Martinsville. So let's go to Martinsville and have some fun with this car. Wheels are not aligned. Car may drive in an odd way. That's fine. They're not supposed to be aligned. But we should be okay. Here we are. Alright, let's go have some fun on the track. Got a little issue going into that corner, right into that gear, but here we are. And that's the thing about the Hudson Hornet, is that this thing was not meant to go that fast, but kind of recreating what the car would do if it was still racing this day. Hudson Hornet was absolutely phenomenal. But anyway, that is going to do it for this episode of One Day Restorations. If you guys want to see more of these, make sure you hit the like button, don't forget to comment, and also subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for another episode of One Day Restorations. For now, I think I want to take some more laps